Hey everyone, what is up? Welcome back to Higurashi When They Cry. Today we'll be recording episode 14. Last episode was a big one, and I think this is probably potentially gonna be another really interesting one. So in the last episode, we learned a lot about a lot more about the dark past of Hinamizawa, and more specifically, the dark history of the Watanagashi Festival. Um, and its actual origins, and that was some interesting stuff. But it looks like we have a pretty clear victim, this time around. Somebody else has died. We don't know who. I imagine we'll find out today who died. I'm worried that it's Shion. We will see, but I don't know. Last episode was so intriguing, and I'm super looking forward to seeing how they play off that. So let's just go ahead and jump right into it. I really don't want to wait any longer. Ugh. And they're not going to tell us who died immediately. We're going to have to, they're going to let it stew for a little bit. I already know. I let out a great big yawn. Hey, I do that a lot. It was like morning had arrived just as I got to sleep. As Mom set up breakfast, she gave me a pained smile.
どうしたの、ケイチ。昨べは何時に寝たの？
You probably don't want to know.
12時には寝たつもりだけど、昨日はなんだか寝つきが悪くてさ。
Bro. Yeah.
お祭りではしゃぎすぎて興奮して眠れなかったんでしょ。
Not me recording at 2:30 a.m.
違うよ。
I love the eating sound effects in my ear. I crunched down hard on the pickled radish to hide my embarrassment. After all that happened yesterday, and our discussion about the sound Shion heard, that banging noise, like a child far away, jumping up and down on a wooden floor. Oh my god, I forgot to mention that in the intro, the banging noise. That was so creepy. And we don't have an explanation for that yet. Why did Shion and Tomatake hear that and we didn't? Right? And it didn't seem that oh my goodness, I don't remember her name. The other woman there didn't hear it. The nurse. How am I so bad at names right now? I'm just pretty bad at names in general, to be honest, but I figured by now I'd have those ones down. Guess not. The story wouldn't get out of my head, so I had trouble sleeping. It was a long night. I kept jumping at the slight sounds of faraway tree branches, which should have been either unhearable or too insignificant to notice. When I woke up to the morning sunlight and birds chirping, it made me feel pretty ashamed about it, but I felt far from refreshed this morning.
Keiichi-kun! Ohayo!
Hey, what's up?
あれ？ケイチ君目が真っ赤だよ。
The boy's down bad. He's so tired.
どうしてだろう？
おはよう。どういうわけか寝つきが悪くてな。
That boy is exhausted.
そんなわけで今日は寝不足だ。
昨日のお祭りは楽しかったね。
Indeed it was. Indeed it was. I'm just worried. Especially because Rika, I mean, she messed up the dance, and Keichi, was like, yeah, you did it perfectly, right? And so it's pretty clear he wasn't there, I feel like that's gonna come back to bite him. People are gonna figure out what he actually did. Man, it's all gonna come back. Last episode is definitely gonna be like the catalyst for the rest of the chapter, I'd say.
レナも興奮がなかなか冷めなくて、なかなか寝れなかったんだよ。
In Rena's case, her excitement seemed to still be wide awake.
こういうお祭りが何度もあればいいのにね。またみんなで大盛り上がり。はう。
Fair enough.
まあ、
Maybe next time they'll actually
そうだな。
stay around. When I talked about the festival yesterday, it made me remember everything I had nearly forgotten from last night. Yeah, this is not a good place for that. The inside of the ritual storehouse has been so utterly different from the relaxed, bright, everyday life of Hinamizawa. All those stories that Takano-san told me too. The mysterious incidents that occurred on the day of the Watanagashi festival every year. The strange incidents where one person would die and one would disappear. The old stories of Hinamizawa flickering like a candle behind them. The numerous and horrifying traditions of Onigafuchi village. The villagers with demon blood in them. The terrible cannibalistic feasts. The poor sacrifices kidnapped from human villages, victims of the Onikakushi. To quell the rage of Oyashiro-sama, the ritual involving living sacrifices. There were also many, many others. There were so many stories that just remembering them put me in a foul mood. Most of them weren't fiction either. They were true. We didn't need to fear them just because they were real, though. Since it all happened so long ago. Such a very long time ago. Worries if it's still secretly happening somewhere.
Mi-chan 遅いね。
Good question. Before I realized it, we had arrived at the place where we'd usually meet with Mion. Probably because I was so lost in thought.
この時間になっても来ないときは先に行ってもいい約束になってるんだけど。
Why wouldn't she be here? Makes me worried that something happened to her or Shion. Maybe because if something happened to Shion, it wouldn't be that surprising if Mion was like, you know, like pulled in for police questioning or brought back to her family house or something, you know?
どうする？
Mion being late wasn't too rare an occurrence, but today she was unusually late. A few of the ominous tales from the night before came back to life in my mind again. Who would die this year? And who would disappear? It couldn't have been Mion.
どうするかな、ケイチ君。もう行かないと遅刻になっちゃうかも。
Sounds like you just gotta get going, then.
来るよ。学校休むって電話があったわけじゃないだろ。もう5分待ってみようぜ。な。
Rena looked at her watch and seemed a little worried, but then she nodded with a satisfied smile. We had to wait 5 minutes. We'd have to run as fast as we could to school or we'd be late. As soon as I thought that, we spotted Mion running towards us, out of breath.
Mi-chan!
Hello.
遅い遅い。
I have a feeling she's about to shatter the mood. No? Just really late. Okay. Really bad day to be really late, Mion.
待っててくれたわけ？先に行っちゃってもよかったのに。
Mion was breathing heavily, and her face was all red. Her house was right down this road, wasn't it? It wasn't far enough away for her to end up like this, was it?
みーちゃん、ひょっとして具合悪くない？
Why would she be booking it like that, then? I mean, maybe she just thought she had to catch up with us, but... I don't know. Huh? Now that she mentioned it... Rena pushed Mion's bangs away and put her hand to her forehead.
レナの手、冷たいな。
みーちゃん、ちょっとだけど熱あるよ。
She's got a fever.
そんな大したことないよ。半日もすればケロッと治っちゃうって。
It's a fiddle.
本当に大丈夫かよ。あんまり無理するなよ。
あれ？ケイちゃん、気遣ってくれるの？
Yes.
嬉しいな。
That answer wasn't like Mion at all. She must have had it pretty bad.
無理しない方がいいと思うな。
Yeah. Sounds like she probably needs to take the day off.
先生にはお休みだって伝えとくよ。
大丈夫大丈夫。風邪薬も飲んだし、すぐに効いてくると思うから。
Mion forced an energetic expression onto her face and flexed her biceps at us. What, she's flexing at us?
じゃあ行こうか。
Okay.
くれぐれも無理するなよ。って言いながら時間。
走らないと間に合わない。
Foolish. Y'all should have been walking and talking.
スリリングな朝になっちゃったね。
That's one way to put it. I guess.
鈍った体にはちょうどいいカツかもね。
What, to sprint? Sure.
走ろ。
Y'all best book it. Hey, wait, you're sick! Don't go overboard! Mion began to run vigorously anyway.
みーちゃんだって最上級生だよ。自分の体のことは自分で一番よくわかってるよ。
I mean, that's true, but you definitely shouldn't, overexert yourself while you're sick. I decided to leave it at that and assume she was fine.
よし、俺たちも行こうぜ。
We began to run after Mion. Did they make it in time? The school looked the same as always. The hours passed listlessly, and my lack of sleep took its toll. There was a sport where people competed by sleeping. I'd be world champion right now. Bro, you're telling me. I would just be the world champion, undefeated. The trick to overcoming this sort of dangerous situation was to hold your pencil upside down. Why, you ask? So you don't draw strange patterns all over your notes while half asleep. If you were holding your pencil upside down, that wouldn't happen, would it? You're just gonna shish kebab yourself instead. What? Just hold it sideways or something. Like at an angle. Bump, 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 bump. Something that felt like an eraser hit me in the head 6 times.
何しやがる佐藤子。
私は何もしてないでございますわ。
Probably the teacher.
お前以外にこんないたずら誰がするんだよ。あ、消しゴムじゃなくてチョークか。え？
Teacher gonna show up and yep. Behind me, like a female outlaw might hold razors, was the teacher's shadow holding 3 pieces of chalk in each hand. Oh god dang. She's triple wielding. Rumble, rumble, rumble.
前原くん、お顔を洗ってらっしゃい。
はい。喜んで。
That alone was enough to wake me up, but I flew onto the hallways as shoved out by the pressure exuded by the teacher's sheer power. This teacher is so strange. I was gonna wash my face anyways, then I would rather use the sinks out front rather than the ones in the dark restroom. Thinking that, I left the hallway and went to the entrance. Is Oishi-san gonna be there? Is that what this is going to? The sunlight was strong. So strong you wouldn't think it was June. I turned the faucet and with a lifeless bubbling noise, lukewarm water came pouring out. So strong you wouldn't think it was June? Isn't that exactly what I'd think? I feel like that's exactly what I'd think. You know, it's June. Sun's pretty strong. Am I missing something? I feel like I gotta be missing something, but... Alright. I let it run for a few moments. Would it get cold? I looked at it absent-mindedly for a little while.
やっぱケイちゃんはこっちの流しを選んだか。
What are you doing out here, Mion?
表の方が気分いいもんね。
ミオンか。
What is she doing out here?
授業サボるなよな。
I stuck my hands into the water to find it had gotten so cold that it seemed strange it had ever been warm. I scooped it up and splashed it against my face. Once I was done, I moved out of the way and Mion did the same.
ミオン、具合の方はいいのかよ。眠いのは寝不足じゃなくて、薬の副作用なんだろ？
実は内緒なんだけど、昨日はお祭りの後で親族の宴会に巻き込まれちゃってさ。
Oh, so you're exhausted because you were partying all night. Imagine.
それで、実はエンドレスに突入しちゃって。
Oh, okay. A bit. She made a gesture like she was tilting a cup into her mouth. She was hammering him. Which means you didn't have a cold or anything.
つまり、本当に寝不足なのかよ。
Imagine.
徹夜明けならそうと言え、紛らわしい。
勘弁してよ。体調が悪いのは本当なんだからさ。
I suppose she'd be feeling lousy either way. Yeah, no. Why?
勘弁してよ。体調が悪いのは本当なんだからさ。
The way she says give me a break is so funny. Still, you treat colds and hangovers in completely different ways.
心配して損したぞ。たく、ミオンらしいというかなんというか。
Mion scratched her head, a little embarrassed. She didn't seem to be feeling well, but now that I knew it was a hangover, I didn't need to worry too much. It would go away with time, after all.
ああ、でも頭がガンガンするのは本当。だからさ、さっき先生に早退していいって言われちゃった。
Yeah, foolish. You should not be drinking like that on a school night.
あ、ずるいやつ。じゃあミオンは もうこれで帰りなのか？
Now that I looked again, Mion had her bag with her. She must have been on her way home.
申し訳ないけどね。今日は家でおとなしく寝させてもらうわ。部活できなくて申し訳ないね。今日はケイちゃんがリーダーってことでやってくれない？
Instead of just canceling it?
多分無理だと思うぜ。
That'd be interesting.
俺たち部活は全員揃った時しかやらないっていう暗黙の了解があるだろう。ミオンがバイトに行ってる時はいつもそのままお開きだったんだぜ。
Mion laughed wryly, saying we didn't need to worry about her. No matter how much fun we have, though, I think that feeling guilty about friends who can't share in it is the sign of a really fantastic friendship. Yeah, I'll give you that. In that sense, the club Mion has created is a wonderful thing. The thought about it, the moisture on my washed face dried up. Suppose we were talking too much. If I didn't get back to the classroom soon, I could get in trouble.
じゃあな、俺は教室に戻るぜ。帰りは気をつけろよ。ふらふらして速攻や用水路に落ちるなよ。
I left it at that, turned around, and started heading back to the classroom.
そうそう、ケイちゃん。
Yeah, what's up? I feel like it's going to be about the Watanagashi. Mion stopped me, and I turned my head to listen.
なんだ？
変なこと聞くけど、深く考えないで答えてね。
Don't think too hard about it.
それは内容によりけりだな。
昨日の綿流しの晩さ、富武さんと高野さんに会わなかった？
Oh, great. No. After they parted with us, I don't think we saw them. I suddenly tensed up.
富武さんと高野さんはわかるよね。
Yeah.
ほらケイちゃん、お祭りの前日準備の時、シオンと一緒に4人でお話ししてたでしょ？
If I could, I wanted to forget about sneaking into the storehouse that night as soon as possible. So hearing the names of the people I was with at that time really got to me. Besides that, though, why was Mion asking me a question like that? And who just starts a conversation with, "Oh yeah, just don't think too hard about it." Like, did you see them? Yeah, no, that's that's really creepy. Yeah, it might just be those two dead again. Very possible. Or dead / missing. I ended up staring at her, unable to answer immediately. Was she asking to see if I had seen them or not? Or was she asking the question knowing that I had? I couldn't tell.
さあ、どうかな。
Bro, you got commit to something. Maybe? Just say yes or no.
あったような、合わなかったような。
My vague response was clearly not to Mion's liking. What answer was she expecting from me? There's no way for me to know.
そう。
What do you mean there's no way for you to know? You either did or you didn't.
じゃあもう一つ質問ね。同じく夕べ、シオンに会わなかった？
Yeah, we did indeed. My heart leapt into my throat again. The tiny needles buried underneath Mion's word pricked into me.
それ、昨日も聞いたよな。
And you gave a non-answer.
俺、会ったかどうかわからないって答えたと思ったぜ。
And that doesn't make any sense. She's gonna call you out on that.
ん？そうだっけ？また改めて聞いたら違う答えが返ってくるかなって思ってさ。
Oh, yep, here they are. There's what, the first appearance of the chapter? Great. You know, you really love to see it. You really love to see it. No, you don't. I suddenly noticed something in Mion's eyes. Something indescribable. Toмотake-san and Takano-san. Shion, too. She was asking me about them. There's no doubt about it. Last night, the four of us snuck into the ritual storehouse. She knew everything. So what? There's not really a curse anyway. That's right. Even Shion and Takano-san said yesterday during the festival that there was no curse. That rather than a curse, it was the doing of the villagers. Blood curdled. Yeah, I don't think it being the doing of the villagers is really all that much better for you here, when you're the one who treaded on their holy ground. Like, I feel like either way, curse or no curse, if the villagers know, you're in a spot of trouble. Mion was, almost without a doubt, aware that we snuck into the storehouse. It was nothing strange. I screwed up bad flipping on the light switch last night. If Mion had been searching for me, it was simple to imagine that she had seen the momentary light and come to find out what was going on.
本当に会ってないんだね。
どうして会ったかどうかをそんなに気にするんだよ。
大したことじゃないの。富武さんと高野さんと悪く言ってる人たちがいるの。
Yep. Okay, that's great. So the whole village knows. Awesome.
何が悪いんだかはよく聞いてないんだけどね。
Unpleasant sweat dripped down my arms, and the sound of it hanging from my fingertips was so annoyingly loud.
私、ケイちゃんが悪いことをするなんて信じてないから。
Don't put too much faith in us.
でも、ちょっとだけ聞いてみたかったから聞いてみたの。不愉快な思いをさせてごめんね。
You know, I mean, I appreciate all that, but I think she's gotten her answers at this point. That we were very obviously doing something with Takano-san, Tomitake-san, and Shion. You know, like, and whatever it is the villagers are saying we did, it's very likely we did it. Especially based on those answers of, maybe I saw them. Like, that's not convincing anyone. You know? So, Mion clearly knows, and, I mean, the real question is going to be, how much does it bother her? Probably a lot. The fact that we snuck out of something that was super important to the friend group, and instead went and, like, snuck into or one of Hinamizawa's, you know, really secret areas. I can't imagine she'd be okay with that. I found myself unable to reply. My reaction must have made it obvious what the truth was, yet I couldn't explain myself.
ケイちゃんは富武さんとも高野さんとも、そしてシオンとも一緒じゃなかった。そうだよね。
Yeah, right. I finally wrung out an answer between ragged breaths. Mion's expression softened a little.
よかった。私言っとくね。ケイちゃんは何にも悪いことには加わってないって。みんなにちゃんと言っておくからね。
Yeah, you do that. Yeah, please do. Tell them I wasn't doing anything bad. To everyone, make sure. Everyone. Who is everyone?
じゃあね。明日は元気になってるから。バイバイ。
Yeah, that's a great question. Who is everyone here? Her family? The village? You know, like, I don't know, is Mion somehow involved in the deep, the dark underside, I guess, of Hinamizawa? Is that the people she's referring to? Is that everyone? I don't know. All I know is it's probably not good. I can't imagine this going well when she finds out we were lying, right? I don't know how in any universe you could be convinced by the way Keichi is talking right now. I wouldn't be surprised if this is I know you did it, you're going to say you didn't, I'm going to say you didn't, and you will never speak of this again, kind of thing. I wouldn't be surprised if that's what this really is, to be honest. Or if she is genuinely distrusting us, and when she realizes we're lying, she's gonna go murder mode, you know? Either way, likely not good. But wait, Mion! What do you mean by everyone? Just then, a freezing cold hand touched the back of my neck.
こら、遅いですよ、前原くん。顔を洗うだけなのに時間がかかりすぎです。
It was the teacher. I was taking so long she came out to get me.
すみません。ついミオンとおしゃべりを。
I turned around, but Mion had crossed through the schoolyard without me realizing it and was now standing at the gate.
さあ、お勉強に戻りますよ。
Okay, I guess that's something to pull us away from that.
早く早く。
The teacher was being insistent. We returned to the entrance. I looked back one more time, and Mion was nowhere in sight.
Keiichi, 今日はずっと元気がないのです。
That's because he's not well.
昨日大はしゃぎしすぎたからに違いありませんわ。
That man was just tired.
迷子になって目を真っ赤にさせて半泣きしてたやつに言われたくねえ。
Oh, that's vile.
ゆうべのさとこちゃんかわいかったよ。はう。
My friends did their best to try and cheer me up, but it didn't lighten my mood. Was it far worse than I thought? I really done something that terrible last night. Yes? In what world is sneaking onto not just private property, but wholly private property that, like, contained secrets that dark? Yeah, that's pretty terrible. That's, about as bad as it gets. I'm not gonna lie. I can't think of many actions you could take that would be much worse than that. I mean, that obviously that actions that don't directly harm somebody, you know, like obviously if you went and like killed somebody that'd be worse, but like, you know, sneaking onto the holy site of like where a lot of dark secrets are held in the middle of the Watanagashi festival. Yeah, that's not it. You really did something. You messed up really bad. Your sense of curiosity is quite unfortunate for you. These thoughts remained with me for the rest of the day.
じゃあね、ケイチくん。また明日ね。
By the time I realized it, I was in front of my own house.
みーちゃんも風邪だったみたいだけど、ひょっとしてケイチくんもなのかなかな。
No and no. She didn't have a cold and we don't have a cold.
え、大丈夫だよ。こう見えても風邪で休んだことはないんだぜ。
でも、みーちゃんもケイチくんも今日は具合が悪そうだし。
Yeah, Mion was just faded. Okay, not faded. She was faded last night.
気にしてくれてありがとな。大丈夫。バカは風邪ひかないんだぜ。
I don't think that's how that works, but... Rena smiled, then waved to me and left. Whew. With my shoulders bobbing up and down from breathing heavily, I entered the house. As soon as I got back in, Mom called out to me.
何？
ケイチ、悪いんだけど図書館に行って本を返してきてくれない？
めんどくさいな。
お父さんも母さんも今ね、ちょっと電話待ちをしてるところで家を開けられないの。
Let me guess, I do today.
返却期限も今日までだし、お願いできない？
Ugh, being out in public and hitting Mizawa right now is, you know, probably not the move. Sheesh. Did it have to do with Dad's job? No point in arguing it if they bring it up.
仕方ないな。でも俺、図書館がどこにあるか知らないよ。
あら、知らないの？沖宮の駅前をちょっと進んで。
Oh, that boy's got a hoof it. Just then, the phone rang. My parents' faces immediately turned grim. Mom snatched up the receiver.
もしもし、前原です。はい？はい、おりますけど。
Then she thrust the receiver at my
ケイチ
face.
に電話よ。
Ugh.
早めに終わらせてね。
I tried to ask who it was from, but asking the person on the phone directly would be faster.
もしもし。
Sonozakiの妹の方です。
Well, not dead, so that's good. That doesn't rule out the possibility of Tomatake and Takano being gone, but you know, at least Shion's still here.
こんにちは。今はお時間大丈夫ですか？
It was Shion. The older sister had a hangover today, but the younger made no reference to
シオン
it.
か。ミオンと同じで、今日は徹夜明けで寝込んでるんじゃないかと思ったぜ。
それじゃあおね、今日はずる休みですか？おねらしい。
She laughed warmly, but Mom glared at me, silently telling me to finish up.
ごめんな。ちょっと親が電話待ちをしてるんで、そんなに長話はできないんだ。何の用だ？
お話ししたいことがあったんですけど、長電話が無理じゃ仕方ないですね。
Well, we'll just meet you at Angel Mort. She sounded a little disappointed. What would Shion want to talk to me about? Now I was interested.
じゃあさ、会って話をしないか？ついでに図書館にも案内してもらえるとありがたい。
図書館って駅前の私立図書館ですか？別にいいですよ。バイトのついでってことで。
じゃあいつもミオンと待ち合わせてる場所わかるか？園崎家の小道に分かれる分岐の。
あ、ケイちゃん言ってませんでしたっけ？私本家じゃなくて沖宮の家に住んでるんですよ。
Yeah.
だから待ち合わせ場所は沖宮駅の改札前なんかにしてくれた方が嬉しいんですけど。
You're gonna have to hoof it. Main house? Living in Okinomiya? Now that you mentioned it, it's always seemed like the Sonozaki sisters weren't communicating. They live in different houses? Wasn't that explicitly said before? I'm almost positive this was explicitly said. Okay. Also, now that you mentioned it, Runa said she never met the younger sister, despite going over to play sometimes.
じゃあ駅に集合な。すぐに行くよ。じゃあ。
I set the receiver down and Mom immediately thrust a large pile of library books in my face. 6 volumes of long-form mystery novels. Mom had her own hobbies.
ケイチ、よろしくね。お夕飯までには帰るのよ。
じゃあ行ってくれよ。
I suppose I changed my clothes and grabbed my bike key. I climbed the stairs to my bedroom. Shion had been waiting for me already, so meeting up was a smooth process. It was quite the jump, but I guess we didn't really need to see the trip at all.
ミオンと違って、シオンは待ち合わせ時間を守るな。しみじみ。
Yeah, Shion can do that much at least.
おねんを標準にされるといろいろと困ります。
Fair, honestly. But, Shion seemed a little unsteady too. She was drinking with Mion last night, wasn't she?
お前も昨べは寝てないんだろ？隠しても無駄だぞ。で、学校を早退したに違いない。
残念でした。私はそもそも今日はずる休みしてますので。
You got there.
私、おねえより容量いいですから。
You just didn't bother going in the first place. Hey, I don't think you can call playing hooky smarter. I mean, I feel like you kinda can. She didn't even have to waste the time going to school. She just got to stay at home all day.
じゃあ、先に用事を片付けます？
Okay, we'll start there then.
時間もそんなにないですから、図書館へ行くんですよね。
ああ、頼むよ。お袋の借りてる本の返却期限が、図書館は遠いのか？
すぐ近くですよ。
As she said that, we spotted the signboard for the library almost immediately. It was this easy to find, and I guess I didn't need Shion to show me where it was after all. We rode around a bend and the building was right there. Shishibone Public Library. We lived in the country, so I hadn't expected too much, but it was pretty big. First floor was actually a government office, so the library was only on the second floor, but it still looked large enough to fit a decent collection of books. That's strange. Government office on the first floor? I guess sometimes I guess sometimes that's just how it is. Small towns gotta, rent out different floors of the same building. Seems like the place the public would be in would, be at the bottom, but I don't know. I guess it's not always going to be that easy. Obviously, if the government was using it first, I guess it makes more sense that they'd have the bottom. But anyways, we passed through the automatic doors and were greeted by the cool breeze of an air curtain. The cicadas had been loud outside, but it was quiet inside the library. The air conditioning inside was keeping the temperature at an ideal level for the books, which had that mildewy smell unique to old paper.
どこの図書館も似たようなもんだな。
There was one difference, was that people studying for tests weren't taking up all the seats. I was one of those people, but now that seemed like a distant memory.
すみません、返却に来ました。
The librarian went through the process of checking them in, and then returned my mom's library card. She was going around the bookshelves with a deeply interested look on her face, like she wasn't the type who went to libraries very often.
悪いな、お待たせ。終わったよ。
図書館って涼しくていいところですね。
Yeah?
私、将来は図書館で働きたいです。
Don't go talking about your aspirations. That's how you die. Like, that's just how you die in games like this. Like, man, I want to do this one day. Nope, you're gone. Like, tomorrow, like, Shion's gonna be dead, and we're just gonna get the flashback to this line right here. I want to work in a library one day. She said that to me yesterday. Now she'll never get the chance. Like that's how it goes in this kind of game. You don't say that. You just don't say that.
地味というか堅実というか、姉と比べると随分とささやかな希望だな。
That is true though. About the actual desire though. I mean, that's pretty cool. I don't know. Maybe it's a bit like generic. Although maybe it's different because the time this game is set is 40 years in the past at this point. I feel like working in a library would be pretty cool. Like nowadays, like it's I don't know, reading's kind of a niche hobby, honestly. Niche is probably a bit of an exaggeration, but honestly not by much. I mean, compared to things like movies or music or video games, probably not many people whose main hobby is reading books at this point. And so I think working at a library would be pretty cool. I mean, I don't think it'd be my scene, but it's not something I'd call like boring at this point, It is still a pretty small dream. I guess in that sense, I guess you could call it boring. But Mion would definitely want to be a hardworking employee for an international trading company or some other crazy job that involved her running all around the world. Compared to that, what Shion said is pretty heartwarming.
まあ、互いの持ち味を大切にしたいですよね。
Well said.
私たち分身じゃなくてシオンとミオンというちゃんとした個人なんですから。
We did learn that one the hard way.
双子は双子なりにいろいろと考えてるんだな。でも楽しそうだよな。俺には兄弟はいないから、うちには俺以外は親しかいない。
I can't even imagine being an only child. That's just crazy to me. Same with twins. The amount of different, circumstances you really can have, depending on how many siblings you have, how old they are compared to you. And obviously, I mean, that's not even including just your actual home life, but I could really never imagine what it was like with twins or with no children in my house. And, a lot of people probably couldn't imagine living with the amount of siblings I lived with. I mean, in my actual house, I only lived with 3, but I had 6. Most people probably can't imagine, having 6 siblings. But it's just kind of, it's my thoughts on that. I just probably do have a lot to think about that I've never had to consider,
窮屈なもんだよ。
私だってそうです。お姉とは一緒に住んでるわけじゃないですから。
Okay, that's about the point. You're twins, but you actually don't live together. Oh, right. She said something like that, didn't she? Why, though? Sisters living apart is unusual. We were getting tired of talking while we were walking. We ended up going to the lounge area, which was vacant, and continuing the conversation.
ええ、お姉は本家に、私は沖宮の家に住んでるんです。
But why?
本家ってなんだ？随分と立派な響きがあるけどな。
本家は本家です。園崎家の本家。お姉は跡取りだから、バッチャと一緒に住んで、いろいろと当主としての修行をさせられてるみたいです。
Really? Okay. Interesting. I mean, obviously, if they have a main house and are, training a successor, I'd say they're a pretty well-to-do family, which, I mean, makes sense given what we know of them. They own all kinds of businesses around. I've kind of been saying I wouldn't be surprised if they're low-key, the ones who run, this general area. But really not so low-key, but Mion, the head of the family, kind of fit her personality, but kind of didn't, too.
ケイちゃんは引っ越してきたばかりでしたよね。自分で言うのもなんですけど、園崎家ってここいらじゃ結構名士なんですよ。
Okay, so it's not low-key then.
本当かよ。
The word personage didn't really match the extremely sociable air that Mion and Shion gave off. From what Shion explained, the Sonozaki family goes way back to the beginnings of Hinamizawa. After the war, they had a bunch of successful ventures and extended their influence to a wide area.
園崎家はですね、親族全体で助け合う土壌があるんです。 今の当主のバッチャが築き上げたんですけどね。
The entire family would provide backup to help one relative with a business venture. They were like a huge living company. This let them avoid tax-related problems and help relatives' venture succeed, one after another, using large amounts of money.
沖宮の街を歩くことがあったら、看板とかを意識してみてください。園崎の親族が経営しているお店ってとても多いんですよ。
So this lets them avoid tax-related problems and helps a relative's venture succeed, one after another, using large amounts of money. Yeah, that can't be moral, but okay. That can't be entirely legal. It's probably not illegal, but probably like, come on, really? Like, we obviously meant not to do that. But it definitely sounds like they just kind of run this place. Or I don't know. I think this is one step from turning into a like evil family. Like they're like a huge living company and they own a ton of the shops here, and because of that, right, they could easily be like, hey, we control like the entire economy of this area, so you give us what we want or we leave, right? Like, you know, and I mean, it doesn't, I'm not saying it is that, but that's the concern right now, right? Is that the Sonozaki family is tied into everything in a negative way. And I think we have reason to believe that. I could be wrong. I'd have to go back and look at the tips from chapter 1, but I'm pretty sure there was a tip that was literally like saying that the Sonozaki family was politically pressuring the police department regarding the Watanagashi. I could be wrong about it being the Sonozaki family, but I don't know. But that's the main thing I'm worried about. The more and more we hear about the Sonozaki family.
言われてみれば、例のおもちゃ屋も親類の人が経営してるみたいだったな。
Yep.
そういえば、エンジェルモートも親類の人が経営してるんじゃないのか？
Yep. Even a few shops I was familiar with were involved with the Sonozaki family. It's definitely surprising.
特に金融不動産関係は強いですね。あと商工会議所の役員も何割かは園崎姓かその親類がついてます。沖宮一帯を評伝に市議会議員と県議会議員にも園崎がいますし。
ちょっと待て。なんだかすごい話になってきたぞ。
Yeah, no kidding. The more and more we hear, the more and more they run. The relatives operate shops in downtown Okinomiya. They're especially strong in finance and real estate. On top of that, a lot of those in the Chamber of Commerce and Industry are relatives. There are even people elected to local
ひょっと
offices.
して園崎家ってこの辺り一帯じゃすごいんじゃ。
Yeah, I'd say so.
ねえ。
Oh, hey, what's up, Oishi? I knew I recognized this area. I suppose this is that government building. How convenient.
すごいんです。
What's up, Oishi? All of a sudden, a cigarette-smoking, overweight old man interrupted our conversation. Wait, I know this guy.
どうも、こんにちは。今日はデートですかな？
Something like that.
羨ましいですね。
そうだと思ったら邪魔しないでほしかったですね。大石さん。
That was it. It was Oishi-san, a police officer. I thought it was this person who came to my rescue when I got involved with those delinquents before. Now that I thought about it, Mion didn't seem to like him very much. Yeah.
いえいえ、すみません。知ってる声が聞こえてきたのでついつい。
Oishi-san laughed coarsely, not showing any sign of giving up. As Shion watched him do so, I didn't feel the same sense of malice from her as I had from Mion.
前原さんでしたよね。
Yep.
あなたもタフな人ですね。園崎姉妹を二股かけるなんて。
Hey, yo, relax. It's not like that. It's honestly more complicated than that. Like, by a lot. But, you know.
いや、そんな二股だなんて。
I think he got two-timed. I turned around to look at Shion and plead for help, but she grinned and maintained her silence. Smug little... Her gaze wandered. She looked at the clock.
ごめんなさいケイちゃん、私もうバイトの時間なんです。
そうなのか？
Wait, didn't Shion have something to talk about today? Now this weird man is here, though.
また今度。あ、バイトが終わったら電話します。夜なら電話大丈夫ですよね？
Should be.
ああ、大丈夫だと思う。
じゃあ今夜電話しますので、その時に。じゃあ。
Shion left so fast she was practically running. Why did she leave so fast? Was it really just she noticed the time, or is it something about Oishi being there? It didn't seem like she was, malicious towards him. Maybe she doesn't have a problem with him, but we don't know. So is this the part where we get stuck in a conversation with Oishi and learn a bunch of stuff we don't want to know? Oishi-san was waving at me with a grin. Felt like I'd been left here as bait so she could get away. Maybe she was lying about having to go to work.
園崎のご令嬢とこれだけ親しくできるなんて。
Yeah, sounds
前
like
原
it.
さんもなかなかの大物ですね。
Simply different. What can he say?
私も口の利き方を改めた方がいいかもしれません。
I don't think that's necessary, but... Oishi-san put a coin into a vending machine as he said something a bit
ア
appalling.
イスティーでいいですか？ミルクは入れます？
Huh?
あ、いえ。
Milk and iced tea? Is that a thing people do? I'm not gonna lie, I don't drink tea very often, and when I do, I mean, like, I've lived in the U.S. South for a very long time. We like our sweet tea. So, I don't know. I mean, maybe tea just has milk in it. Like, I genuinely don't know. I don't think it does. Isn't it just water, tea bag, and sugar? Isn't that how you make sweet tea? I don't know. God, now I'm gonna have to look up how to make tea after this.
じゃあ入れますよ。はいどうぞ。
He handed me a cup of tea filled to the brim with ice as I looked on absent-mindedly. I don't think I'm obligated to have a guy like this buy me a drink, but he did get it for me, so I'll thank him. Was Oishi-san just killing time? We didn't know each other well, but he still engaged me in conversation about all sorts of dumb things. When I thought back to how I talked with Shion, it seemed like a total disaster.
前原さんは園崎さんのことをどれくらいご存知で？
What are the odds this meeting was set up? Like, Shion was trying to drag us out here. Well, I don't think so, because she wasn't even trying to meet in person at first. That doesn't seem likely. Maybe she was just trying to dodge Oishi.
さっき聞いた以上のことは何も。
Until then, I hadn't known anything about either Mion or Shion other than the fact that they were interesting. I really did only just learn that she was the daughter of some prestigious family.
園崎家はこの地域一帯を牛耳ってる
Okay.
暴力団です。
Yeah, it's about what I've been saying this whole time, isn't it?
ちなみに彼女のお父さんは関東でも有名な暴力団グループの大幹部さんです。ご存知でした？
Nope.
大幹部って。
シオンさんの自宅をご存知ないんですか？
Oh, it just like flew into my eye. Where did it go? That's gross. No.
高い塀に有刺鉄線と監視カメラで守られた典型的な暴力団の組長宅ですよ。
Of course it is. Okay.
今度ぜひ遊びに行ってみてください。
Man, I think I'd rather not. I think I'm good on it. She'd mentioned Mion being a successor, but to a crime syndicate?
いえいえいえいえ、まさかまさか。
Okay.
園崎ミオンさんが継ぐのはそんなちんけな暴力団組織だけじゃありません。
Okay.
彼女が継ぐのは園崎家そのものですよ。そのあたりの意味、ちょっと噛み締めていただけますかな。
Oishi-san had spoken lightly about all this from start to finish. What he was saying wasn't light in the least. It was abrupt and unbelievable.
ミオンさんがその気になれば、往来の真ん中で人殺しをしたってもみ消せちゃうかもしれないんです。
Relax, don't say that. Because now I think it's gonna happen.
証人は現れないだろうし、警察にだって圧力をかけられますし。
Yikes.
ミオンは人殺しなんかしないぞ。
Are you sure about that? I'd give it a few episodes. I'm just saying.
しませんしません、ものの例えですよ。
As she is now, she wouldn't, but I've seen that look in her eye already. We know it's there.
大石さんでしたっけ、名前。
ねえ、そうです。
大石さん、ミオンの家が何だろうと、ミオンは俺の誇れる最高の友人です。
I mean, you're not wrong.
それをあまりけなすような言い方、好きになれないですね。
I can respect that. I let my quiet anger show through in my gaze as I stared at him. Of course, I can never seem to tell what he's thinking, so I didn't know if it had any effect.
ではザック・バランに、そのミオンさんにいくつかの事件の嫌疑がかかっているとしたらどう思います？
You wouldn't believe it. Suspected? Incidents? You can't just say terrible stuff like that on a whim. Yeah, I don't...
何かの誤解に決まってるじゃないですか。
Yeah, it looks like you're not going to be useful this time around.
ミオンは物騒なことを言うやつだけど、そんな悪いことをするようなやつじゃない。
前原さん、お静かにお静かに。ここ、図書館ですから。
True. Oishi-san shushed me, but in a state of heightened excitement as I was, I wouldn't be calmed so easily.
落ち着いてください。さっきも申し上げました通り、園崎家はいい意味でも悪い意味でもこのですから、ちょっと何かあるとすぐに疑いがかかってしまう。
Suppose that's true.
そのあたりをご理解いただきたいのですよ。
Well, I know what Oishi-san is trying to say. Combining with what Shion told me before, the Sonozaki family is huge and controls everything from Hinamizawa to Okinomiya. Mion, meanwhile, is its successor, apparently holds strong influence over the entire family. Still, that's all? That's the only reason they're suspecting her?
ですから、私だって仕事で仕方なくやってるんです。
Yeah, that doesn't seem really that out of line.
ミオンさんを疑うためでなく、ミオンさんの疑いを晴らすために捜査をしている。そうお考えいただきたいのです。
You could talk a dog out of a meat truck. I've never heard that expression in my life, but that's a pretty good one, I'm not gonna lie. He was the definition of a shrewd, unfair adult. At this point, I began to think that it was no coincidence I'd met him.
大石さん、ひょっとして俺に用なんですか？
Maybe this was an intentional meeting.
ねえ、そうですよ。
Yeah, I'm gonna say it was.
前原圭一さん。
He answered in an absent tone of voice.
何かの事件でミオンを疑っていて、その友人の俺に何か聞きに来た。そういうことですか？
いえいえ、違います。私は園崎ミオンさんの友人と話をしに来たのではなく、前原圭一さんに話をしに来たのです。ご自宅にお伺いしたらご迷惑でしたでしょうからね。
That's fair. You're probably right.
俺に警察が何の用だって言うんですか？
Having realized this faked coincidental meeting had me as its target, my mood immediately turned foul.
そんなに構えなくて大丈夫ですよ。肩を楽にして。
それって職務質問ってやつですか？
Well, you're about to be.
偶然知り合ったおじさんとの世間話ってことにしましょう。
Something like that. Oishi-san freely suggested that I relax. That said, behind his eyes was a light, which I could only see sometimes, that was sharp as a hawk. If I tried in vain to run away, he might actually take me in and bring me to an interrogation room or something. That was an undoubtedly unpleasant thought.
昨べは綿流しのお祭り、盛大で楽しかったですね。
Something like that. I don't know if I'd say he had a good time. After, that first, I don't know how long. Once that dance started, I don't think I can say he had a good time.
はぐらかさないでください。今さら世間話なんかされても。
昨日の綿流しの晩、富武二郎さんと 高野美代さんにお会いしませんでしたか？
Yeah, they're gone. Gulp. I could plainly feel myself give a start.
あれ、写真はどこに行っちゃったかな？ああ、あったあった。
He opened a small notebook and removed 2 photographs. I didn't have to look.
さあ、どうでしょう。あったような、合わなかったような。
Yeah, man, you got him. I think he's gonna fall for it. I was asked the same question for the second time today. I gave the same answer for the second time, too.
あれ？記憶が曖昧ですか？まさか、アルコールが入っててよく覚えてないなんてのはなしにしてくださいよ。
Nope, nothing like that. You too. I got the same answers I had from Mion. Realized he wasn't taking my vague reply well. Why is he asking me the same thing Mion did? The dark feelings I had nearly forgotten due to my conversation with Shion came rushing back in a hurry. We snuck into the sacred ritual storehouse, a punishable act. It was on a tiny impulse. While it may not count for much now, I do feel sorry about it.
もう一度お聞きしますよ。
Yeah, that's not the face we want to see.
ゆうべのお祭りで、富武二郎さんと高野美代さんにお会いしませんでしたか？
His tone was soft, but there was a dreadfulness in his voice, clearly different from the first time he asked. The thing that I'm wondering right now is Oishi an ally or not? Is he... Because in the first act, it seemed like he was. But... I don't know. The question is does he somehow have anything to do with the Sonozaki family? I want to say no. Right now, I am in this camp of no. He's just trying to find out what happened. And there's really like nothing suspicious about that. But you gotta wonder, right? You can't not question things. I think Mion's clear content for this guy, unless it's amazingly faked, you know, then this guy in the Sonozaki family are not involved at all, which is what I think, but it's worth considering. The way he's pushing the same exact points. I think the truth is probably that Mion has, you know, eyes and ears everywhere, and she knows what happened, right? And he had probably heard about it from maybe some townspeople, right? The fact that he was with them, right? And is clearly he's just waiting for him to say yes. I'm scared. That was exactly how I felt.
と、繰り返し聞かれても、答えはさっきと同じです。
I don't really remember. There wasn't any better answer I could give him. I didn't have the balls to say I didn't see them, nor the courage to admit I had.
そうですか。改めて聞けば、さっきとは違う答えが返ってくるかなと思いましてね。
We have literally heard that exact phrase today, huh? I'm too scared to look Oishi-san in the eyes.
では、質問を変えます。ほら、前原さん、リラックス、リラックス。
Yeah, I don't think we're relaxing at this point, but Oishi-san grabbed my shoulders and squeezed them, as if trying to give me a massage. It mostly just hurt, though. Still, why? They ask the same things as Mion. If he's asking the same things, then the next question must be...
同じく夕べのお祭りなんですが、園崎しおんさんにお会いしませんでしたか？
Yeah. And we're gonna give him the same maybe answer, and then that's gonna piss him off. Clatter, clatter, clatter. I wondered what that sound was, and when I looked down, I saw that it was the unmelted ice in the cup I was gripping in my hands. My hands were trembling, rocking the ice back and forth. Realizing that, I hastily put the remaining ice in my mouth and crunched down on it.
すみません。あったかもしれないですけど、ほら、ミオンにもそっくりですから、ミオンと見間違えてるかも。
Yeah, I'm sure he's gonna buy it, man.
そんなわけはないでしょう。
Suddenly, Oishi-san grabbed both my shoulders and hunched down to give me a level stare. This must be what it's like, be a deer in the headlights. I want to look away, but I can't. This is the first time I've experienced such a piercing stare.
ミオンさんもシオンさんも服装は全然違うんですから。そう簡単に見間違えるはずはありませんよ。前原さん。
His voice was harsh. Harsh. The same as when Mion said it. I could feel my heartbeat quickening. When I realized he could feel it through the hands on my shoulders, I got even more scared. Why? Why are Mion and Oishi-san both asking about last night? Was sneaking into that storehouse so bad? Ugh. I shouldn't have let Takano-san talk me into it. Tomotaki-san casually said to check it out too, so... Even Shion. She hadn't encouraged me. No, I understood. I was the one most at fault here. I shouldn't have let my curiosity get the better of me. I shouldn't have gone into the forbidden storehouse. Yeah?
おいさん、ホタルの光っす。
The young man wearing a suit came into the lounge. From the way he held himself, I knew immediately that he was Oishi-san's subordinate.
ん？ありゃ、本当だ。もう閉館なんですね。
I hadn't realized it until he said something. The jingle and announcements telling patrons the library had closed had started playing without me realizing it. I was so irritated, so overwhelmed that I couldn't even hear it.
じゃあ、前原君。もうこんな時間なんで、私たちは失礼させてもらいます。このお話は、もっと時間のある時にのんびりといたしましょう。
Yeah, man, I'm sure he'll come to visit. For sure. This isn't a joke. If I never saw him again, it would be too soon. Oishi-san followed his subordinate and left the lounge behind him. However, he spun back around.
そうそう、前原さん。
なんですか？
さっきさせてもらった2つの質問ですが、どちらの回答もよく覚えてないでしたよね。
Yeah.
はい。
参考までに。あなた、昨日全員にお会いしてますよ。
Oh god.
4人で楽しそうに歩いてたじゃないですか。
Yeah. Even after the storehouse, they were like together. Like, you know how many eyewitnesses must have seen?
石段のところで、私がこの目で見てますから。
I caught my breath. My heart seemed like it was about to stop. What a detestable person. He knew. And he was testing me.
ではまたお会いしましょ
う。Oh boy. Okay, Oishi-san is taking on a whole different role in this chapter, potentially. That's intriguing. Interesting. I don't want to say he's more antagonistic, but towards Keiichi, he is being more antagonistic.
良いお年を。
Yep, I just gotta... You know, I just got a comment explaining what this phrase actually means. And the fact that he says this is now so much more funny and clearly indicative of his opinion on Keiichi, right? I had the one comment saying, you know, that what this basically means is, you know, have a good year is like a parting, I think you would say, to somebody you don't want to see again anytime soon, right? Like a friendly way to be not very friendly, right? You know, you might say, like, I think they said to a doctor or to a detective, right? Like, you know, have a good year. I hope I don't have to see you again until at least next year. You know, that's pretty indicative of how he's feeling about Keiichi right now. That's not any good. I sat there like a rock, unmoving, until I could no longer hear the clacking sound of their footsteps. Ugh. Jeez. Okay, he's getting caught up. I mean, I think from two sides. I don't think that Oishi and Mion are, you know, necessarily on the same side here, but it sounds like a lot of people know the answers to these questions, and given the rumors going on, right, you know, the one, I'm gonna guess there's a pretty good chance that Takano and Tomotage are donezo, right? And, I mean, who's the best one to get answers from? Probably not the Sonozaki, right? It's probably going to be the only one not part of the Sonozaki family that would be left, you know? And so I think a lot of people are going to be trying to get answers from him. You know, he's probably not in a very good spot right now. I was on my way back home. Cries of the Higurashi accentuated the already lonely evening. More time had passed than I'd thought. The orange of the dusky sky was being chased down, little by little, by an indigo color approaching from the east. Exhausted from the slow climb towards Hinamizawa, without even noticing, I'd gotten off my bicycle and was pushing it uphill. What's a car doing there? Like a car crash? I don't understand any of this. No one had told me to my face that I'd done something wrong. No, in fact, it might have been much easier on me that way. What happened yesterday really was just my curiosity. It really was no more than a quiet prank, no more than having the courage to cross a red light as long as you did it with other people. The storehouse for ritual implements, hollowed ground, only accessible to the family of the priest. For sure, I'd seen terrifying things that I'd never imagined would be there. Thinking on it now, though, it didn't matter what was stored away inside it. It didn't make the wrong I'd committed any more right. The four of us did. Mion seemed to know about it. For some reason, even the police were trying to learn what the four of us did. Did we do something so bad? Well... Is this a new song? I think this is. Like it. I don't think I've heard this one. But... I don't know. I think my personal guess is that one side, the Sonozaki family, does think this is something that bad, right? You walked on to holy ground, right, with no permission and saw the ritual implements. They're probably not very happy with you, hombre, right? Especially knowing what you probably learned by going in there, right? And that he did learn. Wait. No. We have heard this, haven't we? This sounds a lot more familiar now. I think this played when he was doing the retrospective on like Mion and the way he was treating her. Anyways, good song. But you know, I think that one side is truly like, no, you shouldn't have walked in there. This is a you problem. Yeah, you learned we were cannibals. Yeah, you're about to learn it the hard way. I think the other side probably the other side, right? We don't know for sure. I think the police, and specifically Oishi-san, not necessarily the whole police force, but mainly Oishi-san's group, right, is probably just trying to find out what the hell was in there and realizes the dangerous situation he's put himself in, right? He hasn't exactly, you know, been cooperative, so they're probably not that worried about protecting him in this chapter, but, you know, he probably has crucial information towards the, you know, the Watanagashi disappearances and murders. That's my best guess. Let's keep moving. Really, it doesn't matter how wrong it was. I did something wrong. There's nothing more than that, and yet I couldn't accept it. I didn't apologize to Mion or Oishi-san. All I did was shield myself with ambiguities. I did something wrong yesterday. I set foot into a forbidden storehouse for a little bit of mischief. I'll forget everything I saw in there. I'll never do something like that again either. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. If I apologize like that, they forgive me? The suddenly cool evening air left no room for such sentiment, however, as it mercilessly chilled my feet, urging me to head home as soon as possible. In the end, the evening air was correct. If I trudged along such an isolated road, regrets would pile on top of regrets, and nothing would change. Let's go home. I'll go home, go to my room, on my favorite music or something, go to bed. It might sound plain and boring, but it's probably the strongest I've felt all day. Now that I made the decision, there's no point in dawdling in a place like this. I sat back on my bike. I pushed hard on the pedals. I rapidly advanced forward. I steadily gained speed. The wind was cutting and mercilessly cold, but I actually felt good, as if it were softly punishing me. I didn't eat much dinner before excusing myself early and returning to my bedroom. My mom called me from downstairs.
Keichi! 電話よ
Okay, there's the call from Shion.
園崎さんから。
Sonozaki? Was it Mion? No, it was Shion. I just remembered. She'd had something she'd wanted to tell me today. Oishi-san had interrupted us, so she didn't get the chance. Shion had said she'd call tonight.
もしもし、シオンか。
どうも、今日は災難でしたね。
Yeah. She said it so plainly that I got a bit annoyed. She was the one who left me there and ran.
そんなこと言わないでください。私、ケイちゃんに一緒に逃げようってサインを送ったじゃないですか。なのにケイちゃん、ぼさっと残っちゃって。
Yikes.
ボサってことはないだろう。
Yes, you were.
シオンがあっという間に置いてきぼりにしたんで、あの後俺は大石のおっさんにたっぷり付き合わされたんだぜ。
そんなの、私に愚痴られても困ります。
I can't believe she passed it off like that. She looks just like Mion, and yet inside, she's this different? I got a little irritated at myself when I realized I was, somewhere in my mind, hoping for the same reaction I would get from Mion, even though she's a different person.
ああ、悪かったよ。次からはシオンを置いてくぐらいのつもりで、真っ先に逃げ出すようにする。
できればレディーファーストでお願いします。
Yeah, I have a feeling he doesn't care. Shion laughed refreshingly. When I heard her voice, I realized that she wasn't really that angry or anything. It was just as she said. The cause of my temper was because it was my own fault for not leaving immediately. Stop blaming it on others. Blaming it on others would be...
それより、俺に何か話があるんだろ？
はい、もしも、もう知ってるなら、改めて言うような話じゃないんです。知ってますか？
No, what? She lowered her voice suddenly, as if she were glancing around. I had no idea what I could already know.
悪いけど、何のことかさっぱりわからないぞ。ヒントくらい出せ。
I'm guessing it has to do with two deaths.
ってことは、
A death and a disappearance.
知らないみたいですね。
She seemed to take my stupid sounding question as evidence. However, her voice didn't sound disappointed or exasperated in the slightest.
実は、昨日の綿流しのお祭りの晩なんですけど。
My entire body jolted as I was assailed by a terrible feeling. Is Shion going to ask the same thing?
もしもし、ケイちゃん、聞いてます？
Yeah.
ああ、聞いてる。昨日の晩どうしたんだよ。
私たち4人、入ったじゃないですか。
She didn't beat around the bush. Whether or not I wanted to admit it, it was the actual honest truth. I couldn't act like it hadn't happened. Bro, is this gonna be Mion? Is this a setup? This feels like a setup.
それでその後、みんなで歩いて、石段のあたりで私たちみんな別れましたよね。高野さんたちは沢に行って、ケイちゃんはその場に残って。
Okay, maybe not. Okay. I was worried for a second.
私は親類の人たちのところに行っちゃって。
ああ、それがどうした？
お互い、質問の返し合いになっちゃうと拉致が開かないんで、私からまず質問します。いいですか？
Alright.
ゆうべ、富武さんと高野さんに会いませんでしたか？
え？はい。あの後、あの二人には会いましたか？
Nope. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't surprised. This is the third time I've been asked this question today. Why? Why? What the hell was going on?
どうしてだよ。だからどうしてそれを俺に聞くんだよ。
ほらほら、ケイちゃん、質問は私からのはずです。答えてください。
Nope.
シオンはあったのか？シオンが先に答えたら俺も答える。
What? My shabby response betrayed how scared and small I felt now, after everything that had happened today. She didn't say anything for a few moments. Just as I was beginning to think I'd really put my foot in my mouth with that response, she finally answered me.
もちろん、会ってません。
We didn't either.
一緒にいた親類が証明できます。
俺だって会ってない。証明って言うなら、ミオンとかレナとかみんながしてくれる。
Now that we knew our answers matched, she let out a sigh that sounded more relieved than anything else. Yeah, the fact that they're, creating alibis, might be a little indicative of something, huh?
正直に答えてくれて。じゃあ、言いますね。ゆうべ、高野さんと富武さんが死んだんだそうです。
Yeah, I figured.
ごめん、シオン。今、なんて言った？
ゆうべ、高野さんと富武さんが死んだんだそうです。高野さんは焼死体で、富武さんは 自殺みたいな感じで。
That's a bit different than you would expect, right? Tomatake sounds the exact same. Takano sounds a bit different, though. Takano, could she have just been burned to death last time? Maybe it wasn't really a ritual sacrifice. Maybe she was just burned and they never found the barrel. It's not impossible.
今朝知ったんです。お父さんが親類の人からの電話で話してるのを聞いて。
Late last night, a police car on its way back from festival security duty had discovered Tomatake-san lying in the middle of the road heading towards Okunomiya. He had clawed out his own throat and died. Okay, so that's the same.
なんだよ、喉をかきむしっての自殺って。あの明るそうな富武さんが自殺？何かの間違いだろ。
警察がちゃんと検視したんです。自分の爪でガリガリと喉をかきむしって血管を破いて血をドバドバ出して自分の血で溺れ死んだんだって。
そんなバカな自殺聞いたことないぞ。
Yeah, neither have we. That's what's crazy.
自分の喉をかき破るなんておかしすぎる。
You know, at least you can at least in Higurashi. I realized I was yelling too loudly, so I lowered the force I was putting into my voice. I didn't want my parents to hear me, so I switched to the cordless phone and ran up to my own room.
大声出してごめん。で、高野さんも自殺なのか？
高野さんは自殺かどうかちょっと。
Takano-san's body was found in the mountains of Gifu Prefecture. Employees at a rest stop nearby reported to the police late that night that they could see flames in the mountains. The firefighters dispatched there were the first ones to find her. An autopsy concluded that it was the burned corpse of a half-naked female. They initially considered the body beyond recognition, but directly after there was a request for a dental comparison from the XX Prefectural Police Station in Okunomiya, and the results concluded that it was Mio Takano. The cause of death wasn't confirmed, but it was highly likely to have been a homicide, since she was in her undergarments, and her clothes were nowhere in the area.
灯油缶が転がってたそうなんで、焼身自殺の線もあるそうです。
自殺なわけあるものか。同じ死ぬならもっと楽な方法がいくらでもあるだろう。
I mean, true.
こんなの絶対に自殺なものか。
私だってそう思ってます。富武さんのだって自殺だなんて考えられない。
After the two of us rattled on at each other, there was a silence as we paused to catch our breaths. As we calmed our nerves, right then, I understood what Shion's story actually meant.
お社様のたたりってことになると思います。
Yeah.
私たちたたられるのに十分な資格がありますから。
Yeah.
資格って冗談じゃないぞ。別に俺は。
Shion wanted to see it with me. I just went along with her. Hey, what happened to the self from like 20 minutes ago that was talking about not blaming others for your choices? I tried to say that, but I fell silent. Nothing would come of me blaming others. There it is. Okay, good. Didn't matter how much everyone else encouraged me. Could have put my foot down. I lost my own half-assed sense of adventure and agreed to go in with them. Yes, it was my fault, and no one else's.
シオン、お前は昨べ細工殿の中に忍び込んだらこうなるかもしれないと予想はついてたのか？
Probably not. Why would she have done that? If she thought, yeah, two of us are gonna die here, why would she be like, yeah, let's sneak in?
まさか、そりゃ多少はやばいとは思いましたけど、こんなことになるなんて夢にも思いませんでした。
Shion's words were probably her true feelings. She knew she could get in trouble if we were caught. That was the thrill of this little adventure. It was the same for me.
それよりもケイちゃん、ちょっとよく考えてください。今年のお社様のたたりはおかしくないですか？
There wasn't a disappearance, there were two deaths. It's already plenty strange, seeing as how Tomatake-san and Takano-san died like that. Given all that, what could possibly be stranger?
死体が 2つ見つかったってことです。
Yeah, that's
言い
new.
ましたよね。例年は1人が死んで1人が消えるんです。2人の死亡が確認されたのは今年が初めてです。
確かにそうかもしれないけど、そんなのは大した問題じゃないだろう。
No, that's kind of a huge deal, because that highly suggests that this isn't just the curse of Oyashiro-sama, right? Because if this was a curse, it would just follow the same pattern, right? It changed, right? It wasn't the same. It wasn't what was expected, right? It's possible that is literally just because they didn't find Takano's body last time, right, in that oil drum. I think that's very possible, right? And that it's always been 2 deaths. But the fact that if you look at it like it's always been 2 deaths and they've been going out of their way to hide it, right? You know, one body is in excuse me, in an oil drum in the mountains in a different prefecture, right? That's pretty hard to find, you know? Like, you know, that would suggest that this is all a cover-up done by people, or if it just randomly changed, that suggests this is done by people, right? I think, to me, this really heavily indicates that this is done by people. Because I think if this was just the curse of Oyashiro-sama, right, striking down more people, why wouldn't it have struck down all of them? You know, like, why would 2 people live, right, and 2 people die, right? You know, it's a change in what happened, and that's pretty big.
いいえ、ケイちゃん、もっと真剣に考えてください。いいですか。2人の死がお社様のたたりということになってるなら、お社様の怒りを鎮めるための生贄もまた2人分必要なはずなんです。
There is also that possibility. I'll give you that. I'll give you that. Maybe Oyashiro-sama was so angry, right? 2 people had to die this time. If the curse explanation is to be believed, right? 2 people had to die this time, which means 2 people need to be sacrificed. I have got 2 pretty good candidates right here.
そういう理屈になるのか。じゃあなんだよ、富武さんと高野さんが死んだ陰で今年は2人が行方不明になってるってのか。
Brother, who do you think are the 2 people most likely to go missing? I don't understand why, but when I said that, I felt my spine freeze.
まだ誰も行方不明になってないと思います。多分2人が失踪するのはこれからじゃないかと思うんです。
Shion, like me, was obviously getting the same feeling crawling down her back.
これから2人が失踪する。
Shion didn't answer. I couldn't say any more than that either. A chill crept in through my clothes and tried to wrap into a fist around my heart, cold hands feeling about on my chest. Neither of us could say anything. Toмотake-san opened the lock and he died. Takano-san exposed to the ritual storehouse and she died. If 2 more people were to be sacrificed, then they would be none other than the ones who entered with them. None other than us.
まさか冗談だろ。
I wanted so much for her to pass this off as a joke, even now. That, though, was such an incredibly difficult and selfish request. If Toмотake-san and Takano-san had died in a common way like a car accident, I could tell myself it was a coincidence. Instead, he clawed out his own throat. She burned to death, drowned in oil in the mountains. 2 deaths were so out of the ordinary, I couldn't possibly dismiss it as mere coincidence. It was as if, in exchange for sneaking into the ritual storehouse, there must be someone punishing us, some sort of cruel will working behind the scenes. Even so, I still didn't want to accept that terrifying truth. If I did, then I would have to acknowledge that a horrible crisis was growing near for Shion and I. That's why I argued against it. I argued, knowing I was running away.
大地、そんなの新聞に出てないぞ。そんなに奇怪な事件なら絶対に新聞やテレビで報道するはずだろう。雑誌記者とかだって面白がって大勢来るに決まってる。
マスコミに報道されないのは当然なんです。過去にそうだったから。
The Sonozaki family is not letting this information get out. When the incidents occurred for the 3rd year in a row, there were some third-rate magazines that sniffed out the story and ran issues full of gossip columns about Hinamizawa. Fearing that the region would develop a negative stigma, they negotiated with the prefecture and the police. Since last year, it became a big conspiracy, where no information about the incidents was allowed to be leaked to the media.
村長とか、あと園崎家出身の金バッジが警察に思いっきり圧力をかけたんだって聞いてます。
Sounds like a very cool and very ethical family.
じゃあつまり二人の死は秘密裏に処理されてしまったということか。
Yep.
そういうことです。もちろん警察は捜査をしてますよ。でも秘匿捜査ということなので、捜査活動にはかなりの制限が加えられているそうです。これは事実上の捜査妨害と言えるでしょうね。
Yeah, they absolutely are. This story was unbelievable. People died, and yet they don't publicize it and deal with everything in secret.
もっと噛み砕いて言うと、綿流しの夜に誰が死んでも公にはならないということです。
そんなバカな話があってたまるか。
ケイちゃん、私以前にお社様のたたりは村人が起こしてるかもしれないって言いましたよね。つまりそういうことなんです。このひなみ沢では毎年綿流しの夜にお社様のたたりということにして誰かを殺してもいい土壌がいつの間にか作り上げられているんです。
When someone dies on the night of Watanagashi, it turns into the curse of Yashiro-sama. The curse turns into the serial murder incidents. In order to avoid exasperating the negative stigma surrounding Hinamizawa, those incidents are dealt with in secret.
バカな。毎年死者と行方不明者が出るんだろ。いくらマイナスイメージって言ったって警察にも限度があるだろう。
They don't really have much of a choice.
毎年の事件が不可解っていうなら警察も本腰を入れられるんでしょうけど、何しろ毎年の事件は個別に解決してますので連続事件という形にならないんですよ。
Yeah. And, I mean, that's what Hinamizawa wants. They don't want it to be a string of incidents.
たまたま毎年綿流しの晩に不幸なことが起こる。
Yeah, man, that's crazy.
それだけのことに。
Most of the criminals responsible for the original dismemberment were arrested. The last one managed to get and stay away. The events were totally exposed and elucidated, so it was, in essence, resolved. The dam supporting couple who died in an accident on the second year, that was an accidental death, plain and simple. They made a lot of investigations into the possibility of it having been a homicide, but they didn't turn up anything. It ended up as an accident. It was resolved. On the third year, the priest fell ill and passed away. There were doctors present at the hospital at his deathbed. They all had trustworthy medical certificates. They even did an autopsy, and concluded that it wasn't a homicide. That was resolved too. On the fourth year, the sister-in-law of the dam-supporting couple was murdered. The criminal was an abnormal man with a history of regular psychostimulant usage. He confessed that he thought Yashiro-sama's curse was so interesting he wanted to try it out. The criminal died of an accident while imprisoned, so this incident was essentially resolved as well. That's right. None of the incidents had any relation to another, and each was independently resolved.
なのになぜか毎年綿流しの晩に不幸な偶然が起こる。連続事件にしたくても連続にならないんです。それでも毎年必ず誰かが死んで誰かが消えていく。
Yeah. The story Takano-san told me on the day before during the setup, now that the curse really had occurred this year, I couldn't just laugh it off.
じゃあ俺たちも狙われるっていうのか。
You know, I wouldn't call it unlikely.
毎年一人死ぬと一人が消えるように富武さんや高野さんの道連れに消えさせられるっていうのかよ。
My lips had, at some point, become completely dry. Just saying that was difficult. Shion didn't respond. Her silence, however, was the clearest form of confirmation she could give me.
俺たちそれは確かに入っちゃいけないところだったかもしれないが見ただけだぜ。何かを盗んだり持ち出したり見たことを誰かに喋ったわけじゃないんだぜ。
Probably more about what you learned. I was already regretting having committed such a wrong. Well, more about what you learned, and just the fact that, despite knowing damn well you shouldn't do it, you did it. Right? It's kind of hard to, see somebody as a member of your community if they are knowingly breaking your rules. Right? And they might look at it as okay, that's grounds to eat him. He's not Hinamizawa. Like, he wouldn't have done that if he was Hinamizawa, right? He's done. I was already regretting having committed such a wrong. Even so, was it really so bad? Tomotage-san and Takano-san deserved such cruel deaths?
第一、俺はあんなの見ても全然面白くなかったし、高野さんが見て一人で大喜びしてただけだろ。
Yeah, that's not relevant.
悪いのは高野さんだけだよ。
Hey, Dog, look, I know you're scared, but you can't say stupid stuff like that. That's just not true. You are equally at fault here.
俺は全然関係ないぜ。興味もないし関係ないし、あの中にあったものだって知ったことじゃない。
I knew saying so wouldn't solve anything. I could feel myself, my cold self in the innermost depths of my heart, disgusted at my pointless howling. However, my emotions had broken through the dam, and I couldn't stop them anymore.
俺はもともと興味なんか全然なかったんだ。リカちゃんの演舞を見ていたかっただけなんだ。それをシオンが勝手に連れ出したんじゃないか。
Keichi, come on, dude. Dude, look, the last thing you need right now is another enemy.
あの二人が泥棒しようが何しようが知ったことじゃない。そうだよ。そもそもシオンが中に入ろうって言い出したんだ。
So much for not blaming others.
ケイちゃんは見ておく必要があるとかなんとか思わせぶりなことを言って中に引き込んだんだ。どうしてくれるんだよ。俺は全然関係ないんだぞ。どうすんだよ。どうすんだよ。どうやって責任を取ってくれるんだよ。おい、聞いて。
You sound ridiculous right now. You sound utterly absurd. Click. Without any warning, the phone cut off with the soft sound of a receiver being slammed down. Yeah, you completely deserved that. Shion was just as terrified as I was. I just said some really self-centered things. My riled up emotions disappeared as if they never existed. In their place surged waves of deep regret at having run my mouth so irresponsibly. I could try to call out Shion's name from beyond the disconnected phone. It was too late. What have I done? She was only trying to tell me as much as she could about this thing about to descend upon us. As for me, I could only whine like a child about it. I went to call her back, and remembered she lived in Okinawa. I didn't know her phone number. Since I declared to Mion that I hadn't seen Shion last night, I couldn't just call Mion and ask her for Shion's phone number. I was too scared. I couldn't even call her back. I was stricken with hopeless regret. I returned the receiver to its stand, and I simply prayed that Shion would call me back again. Please, Shion. Calm down. Call me again. Ring, 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 ring.
もしもし、前原です。
I swept up the receiver as though it wouldn't go through if I didn't grab it at that exact moment.
前原さんのお宅でしょうか。夜分遅くに失礼いたします。君吉と申します。
Who are you?
ご主人様でいらっしゃいますか？
Who is Kimiyoshi? It was the voice of a girl who clearly wasn't Shion. All my hopes rushed out of me.
いえ、違いますけど、親父に用なら呼んできます。
I went to put the receiver back down, but the caller stopped me hurriedly.
あ、いえいえ、お忙しければ結構なんです。
Who is this?
実は恐縮なんですが、うちのおじいちゃんがお邪魔してませんでしょうか。
Who are you?
いえ、誰も来てませんけど。
そうですか。夜分遅くに申し訳ありませんでした。失礼いたします。
Who is that? Clack. I don't know who that was. What if Shion tried to call while I was on the phone? I thought, bubbling with egotistic anger. Hey, wait. Give it a break, Keichi Maibara. These are the selfish emotions that made Shion mad at me, aren't they? The more I thought about it, though, the more I thought that Shion had given up hope in the short time since we had our conversation. I didn't want to call anymore. Calm yourself, Keichi Maibara. If Shion does call again, then first apologize in a calm voice. If you do that, then Shion should understand. There's not going to be a call. However, no matter how long I waited, the phone didn't ring again that night. What are you doing outside? What? Planning on running over there or something? Maybe thinking he's going to catch her at the station? I don't know. What is he doing? Or is it just a random outside shot, like that they decided to pan to? I think it is. 2 more scrapbook notes. Alright, from the scrapbook 6. The significance of Watanagashi. Watanagashi, a festival of hunting for sacrifices and feasting on them. While the festival itself is remarkable, it has come to be considered a form of entertainment as well. Perhaps it was because of the disparity between being both an egregious act and a form of entertainment that the perpetrators began to believe themselves transcendent. However, I found some very interesting literature that appears to raise questions about that explanation. As with most oral traditions, it's not easily swallowed, but it does mention a few things that spark my interest. According to this literature, even the residents of Onigafuchi village felt fear towards this ritual. Women and children would grow pale and tremble, and those of weak constitution would vomit. They said that the feast, the dissection, was an obligatory viewing. This is an extremely curious tale. Until now, I thought that the residents of Onigafuchi village were fascinated by the Watanagashi ritual. They looked down on those vulgar, barbaric humans, cut them open like fish. And by eating them, they reaffirmed their own holiness. At least that's what I thought. However, if what the villagers gained from this ritual was not fascination, but fear, then now it suggests that the ritual meant something entirely different. There's the possibility that the executions were meant as warnings, encouraging the villagers to strictly follow religious precepts created by those of power for their own convenience. Onigafuchi village has been effectively ruled over by 3 old families, called the 3 Families. Without investigating the 3 families, I probably won't get any closer to the truth of Onigafuchi village. With the 3 families, Rika's family, the Sonozaki family, and probably Satoko's family. The Hojos, probably. Probably the Furudes, the Hojos, and the Sonozakis, if I had to guess. Right. From the scrapbook 7. The 3 families. The 3 families refers to the 3 old families who effectively came to rule Onigafuchi village. Break it down, there was the Kimiyoshi family, the Furude family, and the Sonozaki family, and each of them still exists today. Okay, so we obviously just saw a Kimiyoshi, right? We don't know who we saw, or not saw, talked to.
前原さんのお宅でしょうか。夜分遅くに失礼いたします。君吉と申します。ご主人様でいらっしゃいますか。
Should that voice sound familiar?
前原さんのお宅でしょうか。夜分遅くに失礼いたします。君吉と申します。ご主人様でいらっしゃいますか。
I can't think of anybody that would actually be. I mean, if it was somebody, right, for some that we knew for some reason, I mean, I'd say Satoko, I guess, but like, I don't think it's anybody that we explicitly know at this point. Maybe somebody that we've seen, but not somebody like we explicitly know. It didn't really. Again, I'm terrible at Japanese voices, but I mean, that was not the voice we hear from Satoko for sure. But it's not impossible that it's Satoko, like, but like not talking the same as normal, I guess. I'm not gonna consider that a crazy possibility. Just because I can't recognize voice actors, I'm not gonna sit here and be like, oh, maybe it is this person. I'm gonna just assume it's somebody we don't know, for the sake of simplicity, right? Unless they say like the Kimiyoshi family is also known as the Hojo family or something, you know. But let's go and learn more about these families. They don't have as much control as they did in the remote past. They still hold considerable influence today. The 3 families are considered by legends to be those in whom the blood of the swamp demons runs the thickest. The Kimiyoshi family. The Kimiyoshi family appears to have held great power as the head of the 3 families, but it doesn't have that kind of leadership today. The current mayor of the village, Kichiro Kimiyoshi, is from this family. The fact that members of the Kimiyoshi family are elected as mayor every generation is thought to be a remnant of the old system. Of course, as no rival candidates appear, it doesn't even change the fact that the Kimiyoshi family holds the mayoral office even through popular elections in the post-war era. Furude family. The center of the village's faith since ancient times, the Furude clan has guarded the sole shrine dedicated to Oyashiro-sama. They were worshipped as the only people to represent the voice of Oyashiro-sama for a long time. The family branched off after the war and lost most of its power. It now consists of only the main house. The main house, as well, presently consists of only one daughter, Rika Furude, so the lineage may end in this generation. There is apparently an old tradition of honoring females of the Furude family, so the only daughter, Rika, is the subject of much respect among the elderly of the village. Sonozaki family said that this family had a certain police-like role of protecting the religious precepts of Onikafuchi village. Of the three families, their relatively weak position can be seen from me putting them here last. Of course, today, the Sonozaki family is flourishing, and the state of affairs among the three families has completely reversed. Even now, one could say that they are in control of Hinamizawa. Three families conferring with each other is similar to the old way. The current head of the Sonozaki family, Oryu, essentially decides all of the goings-on in the village by himself. Herself, excuse me. Okay. Learning more and more about these families, obviously. Seems Hinamizawa is very, very far from that ideal country town. Let's listen to this late-night phone call. I'm intrigued as to what this could be.
夜分遅くに失礼いたします。君吉と申しますが、ご主人でいらっしゃいますか。はい。いえいえ、その節は本当にありがとうございます。それでですね、こんな時間に大変恐縮なのですが、うちのおじいちゃんがお邪魔してないかと思いまして。ですよね。はい。こんな時間に申し訳ありませんでした。それでは失礼いたします。ごめんください。
どうだい？ダメ？
参ったな。どんなに熱中しても電話くらいはしてくれる人なんだけれどな。
Passionate about what?
囲碁の人の家は全部電話したんでしょ？
Go?
はい、君吉です。
園崎です。どうです？村長さんは見つかりましたか？
I was gonna say, I had a feeling, that the old man would be the mayor, right? And it sounds like people are calling around trying to find out where he is, but...
ああ、ミオンちゃんか。片っ端から電話をかけてみたけど、ダメだよ。見つからないんだ。参ったな。どこで油を売ってるのかな。
こっちでも心当たりにいろいろと問い合わせましたけど、全然。バッチャにも相談したんですが、青年団を招集して探し回った方がいいだろうということです。
こんな時間にかい。それに別に行方不明になったと決まったわけでもないし。
綿流しの直後ですから、少し慎重に扱った方がいいとのことです。
Yeah, that's fair.
それでも見つからないなら、明朝警察に通報しましょう。見つかる見つからないは別にして、痛くない腹を探られない方がいいでしょうから。
おりょうさんがそう言ったのかい。
はい。直接声を聞かないと信用できないなら、電話先に出させますよ。
いえ、わかりました。青年団を集めて探しましょう。それで見つからなければ翌朝に警察に通報します。
青年団の連絡もよろしくお願いしますね。私もバッチャの代行ということでそちらに参ります。
ありがとう。すぐにみんなを集めます。
ええ。では。
Okay, they've added another mystery. That's a puzzling decision. It's like, there's got to be something big there, or why would they suddenly drop on us the fact that the mayor is missing, right? And they've been calling around trying to find where he is. I would imagine this is somehow going to be relevant in probably the next chapter. We're at an hour 45. Honestly, I mean, I might be able to push another chapter, but I don't think I'm going to. It's 4 a.m. I'm not that tired. I might just record another one, but this could very easily end up as a very long video if I tried to push another day. So we're not going to. So let's talk about these real quick. So first of all, this was basically all about, well, this was about, you know, the mayor going missing, but I think this also had a very not so subtle like showing of the power dynamic of the families, right? The fact that clearly the Sonozaki family has a lot of power. Clearly, the Sonozaki family is aware of what's happening on Watanagashi every year, and so are all of the three families, presumably. Because she's like, yeah, he might not be missing, and normally this wouldn't be that concerning, but last night was Watanagashi, like, you know, and so we should all be more cautious. So it's not secret that they know, but it's, you know, it's more obvious that they know. Although if they're looking for people, maybe they don't control who's being killed. I don't know. Obviously, these were just about the three big families existing, and this was about the three big families themselves. It was actually not about the three big families. What was this one about again? Oh, the fact that the Watanagashi festival might have been a ritual to keep people in check via fear, which is something I've kind of been theorizing for a while, is like the explanation for all this. Although if it's if all of that is being presented in chapter 2, making me think I have that incorrect. Before we go any further, I want to look at this again. Get some of the information back from here.
バッチリ黒焦げだそうで、あっちの現場かわいそうだな。ごめん、誰かきつめのタバコ2箱ぐらい買ってきてくれません？
今年は見事見つけましたね。ひょっとすると過去の失踪者も。
なら埋めればいいじゃないですか。重りつけて日本海でも琵琶湖でもいいですね。
でもどうして？
クマちゃん、仏は拘束なしでドラム缶の中見つかることを
じゃあつまり今年は
消す気がないってよりは、これはそれとは全く別のものでしょうね。消すどころか主張しているようにすら
つまり見せしめの意味があるってことっすか？
それをしないでこんな遠くまで運んで焼いちゃったら下手したらわかんないでしょう。見せしめにするならひなみ殺したことを主張したいのに、場所は演出効果の確実じゃない遠方。今年は何考えてるのかな、お社様は。
Okay, so this is basically the information that I was looking for. So this confirms that this body was found, you know, pretty far away, as I suspected. And they directly address the idea of, what if this was what happened in the past and we just never found them? And, you know, they're saying, then why would this body be out in the open like that? And they, you know, Oishi-san, I tend to think Oishi-san he's generally got a pretty good head on him, so I could kind of believe him here. He really thinks that this one, you know, whoever did this wanted to make a show of Takano's murder. And I can believe it. I wouldn't be surprised if it was, frankly, somebody close to Keichi, right, who did it, with the intent of, making it clear to him, like, you know, this is what you guys got yourself into. You know? Maybe only one of them is going to disappear. Maybe, you know, as normal, or as was the case last time, maybe Toмотake-san is the one who died, right? You know, clawed his own throat out, and one of, presumably, Shion or Keichi is going to disappear. They are under the impression it's going to be 2, but the police seem to think it's only that those murders are not related. If those murders aren't related...
おいさん、出ました。沖宮のデンタルクリニックで3年前に親知らず。
カルテは？
レントゲン付きでバッチリと。
いやー、こんな明け方ま。
了解。課長です。
大石さん、遅くなって申し訳ない。
Oh, let's get through this.
わ
Oh, right. I think it makes sense that they're not connected, so that doesn't necessarily mean that there would be two disappearances. And that it could very well be one is just an unrelated murder. I think they kind of assumed that they were connected, and so Shion and Keichi were on the phone and we're like, oh my god, two people are going to disappear. That means both of us, right? When I think there's a pretty good chance it's only one. But I mean, Keiichi already ruined any sense of solidarity they had, I'd say. What with his his like childish whining, as he described it at the end there. There's really not a better way to describe it. He really was. I mean, he knew everything he was saying was just like inaccurate, and was saying it anyways. You know, he can't blame that on somebody else. He could have just not gone in, right? And he said it before. He could have put his foot down, and he didn't, right? And so, but now that there's real consequences, he's scared, and he's, you know, blaming it on other people, and I think that's going to create, you know, one hell of a rift between them that I don't know that they're going to be able to repair before the end of this chapter. Hell, I wouldn't be surprised if Shion straight up becomes like a, you know, kind of enemy now too, right? If she goes murderize mode on us, like, I don't know. I don't necessarily know about that, but we'll see. Man, this episode was something. It's pretty clear we're in a lot of trouble. You know, Mion knows we're lying, right? Probably knows exactly what we did. Oishi-san, probably, he knows, he does know we're lying, and he knows exactly who we were with, right? Why are they both asking those questions, right? I'd assume they know what he actually did, right? Went to that storehouse, and I think Oishi-san wants the answers as to what was in that storehouse, and maybe it'll give him a lead, right, as to what is actually going on in this village. I think Mion wants to just cover everything up. When I said, like, you know, she genuinely might be in the, you know, oh, you weren't there? Yeah, let's keep it that way. That's the story you're running with, camp. Right? Like, I think, hell, I wouldn't be that surprised if she was just trying to give him, like, a warning, I guess. You know? Either way, it's a bad position to be in, especially because if that isn't what she was doing, if she wasn't giving him a like subtle warning of like, yeah, you're in some deep trouble right now. You better not dig yourself a bigger grave, which he totally did today, by the way. But you know, I feel like that's a big assumption. There's a pretty good chance she's just taking him at face value and is like, okay, he's just lying to me. Awesome, that's great, and is going to remember that. Either way, we kind of have enemies from all sides right now. I don't think we really have any allies. I guess maybe like Rena. But hey, if she figured out what we did, she'd probably be one of the first to be like, wow, you know, that's really not okay, Keiichi. And to probably start defending the town, you know? At least last time we at least had Oishi. This time I don't think we really have anyone. I think things are going to get really rough for him until the end of this chapter. I don't think things are going to get any better. He's burned all the bridges. He really has. Anyways, that's going to be it for this episode. I hope you guys have enjoyed. This was, I mean, it was quite the episode. I really enjoyed it. I hope you guys did as well. I'm hoping to get another one out soon. Today is what? Wednesday? Oh goodness, it's Wednesday. I believe starting Saturday, I have something going on in the evenings. I'm going to be streaming it on Twitch. It's like a Minecraft event. You guys can check it out if you want. But the goal is before then, I would like to try and finish this chapter. It may not happen. I'll still record during the event. Like, this isn't like an all-day thing. But, you know, I'd like to... If I can finish before then, I'll probably take a break during this Minecraft event, and then after that, try to bang out Chapter 3. just to kind of let you know what the hopeful schedule is here. I don't know how many episodes I probably have left in chapter 2, but I'm hoping to kind of get through it before then, and then potentially take a break, and then get through chapter 3 after that. So that's that. Just figured I'd let you guys know. So point is, hopefully, the idea is more videos should be coming up pretty soon. And I hope to see you guys there for the rest of this chapter, man. I have a feeling it's gonna get nuts. I'm super excited to play it. Anyways, that's all for now. Peace.